Good evening and welcome to All Four Wins Football. We are back again. It's Monday night and I'd like to say we're celebrating, but Sean's the only person wearing blue. So we'll find out whether or not he is celebrating the fact that Chelsea won the first domestic cup. And just like Jules Verne, we're going to try and go around the world in less than 80 minutes. We're aiming for 60. Let's see how we go. I do wish we could extend that. Honestly, it's such a bop, but I love it. Anyway, sometime I might just put it on again one time. We never know. Who's going to stop me? Nobody. Hi, everybody. How are we all doing? It's been quite a weekend, so it'll be very intriguing to see how you've got on. B, how was your weekend? All good?
Yeah, it was good, thanks. I actually travelled up to Derby for the League Cup final, which was good.
Ooh, well, the job we got you on the show then. This will be excellent fun. Somebody was there. That's great news. Sean, of course, lovely to have you back as ever. How are you?
Good. Brighton won. The team I work for, Cardiff City, won. Happy weekend.
There we go. That explains the blue. And of course, Freya, aside from the football, how are you?
Not bad. Hey, it's a Monday, new week, new start. Looking forward to the next one. Can't get any worse.
Absolutely that. So, yeah, absolutely. We are here to kick off. And indeed, CFC Riley's long time no see. It's been about 5 minutes for those who aren't sure. But yes, very much looking forward to this evening. And this, I suppose, is where we are going to need to begin. It took up the bulk of our thumbnail. Glory, 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 Chelsea, which is just like the norm nowadays, isn't it? But yes, what a time to be alive. Chelsea women win the League Cup final over Man City women, and so many different talking points that have come up from this match. So we're going to try and get through all of those in the first half of the show as best as we possibly can. But the one we've got to kick off with, I think, is the where it was and the amount of people. So 15,000 people turned up, and I suppose for you, Beatrice, would have been 14,999 roughly. I know it wasn't quite that. I can't remember the exact amount. It's 14,000 and something, but there we go. Almost 15,000 people in there, but at Pride Park. And we sort of made the joke at the end of our previous show on our sister channel. Not really something they could be proud of, that park, was it? It wasn't the greatest of pitches. But if you're trying to look at an argument for the trophy, probably not going to be playing that one necessarily at Wembley with just 15,000 people turning up. So where do we stand on that one? The League Cup has got a tradition of moving around the country, but not quite working, that one, is it? So it reminds me a little bit of the Euros when we had some smaller stadiums that were being used for some of the matches that they maybe weren't expecting to fill out quite so much. Do you think that maybe that's where this needs to happen, or was it right that it was in a big ground and just a shame they didn't manage to sort the pitch out? What was your thoughts, B?
Yeah, I think it's hard. The stadium obviously wasn't full, but it was still a nice atmosphere, especially before kickoff in the fan zone and everything. Like, it was a really nice atmosphere. I think, I don't know, it's kind of which comes first. Like, do you put it in a bigger stadium and try and attract people by the fact that it's played at Wembley, or do you aim for smaller and just try and fill out? Like, it's a hard one to guess at. And yeah, you're right. There's been a lot of comments on the quality of the pitch. It wasn't amazing. I mean, I don't know if I'd be complaining if I was playing on that, but obviously they're all used to like high quality pitches. But yeah, a bit of a shame from that respect.
No, I can imagine you probably wasn't. Wouldn't have been too upset had you been playing at Pride Park, to be fair, B. Yes, I would give you that one. And, for me as a football fanatic, you kind of want to. I mean, I don't know if players are like that, but you try and tick off like the 92 almost, a bit like the fans do when they go and visit. They're certain. I mean, obviously there's going to be certain stadiums you want to play in, but is that kind of one of the things you do? Sort of keep a little log of all the big ones you've been at?
Me as a player?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I want to play in loads of cool stadiums. That would be amazing if we could go play in big stadiums as a tier 4 team.
What's been the best one you've played at so far?
I was at Norwich City Stadium last season with Cambridge United, which was quite cool. That was pretty cool. I didn't come on, but got to warm up and stuff, which was nice.
Very nice. We was at the Nest yesterday, but that's obviously you're talking about the proper one, Carrow Road, home of Delia Smith. So all good fun. Brilliant. Sean, for you, just under 15,000, terrible pitch, but as Shane says, the problem isn't the stadium. It's a great stadium. Why do you think it was that the pitch was, I mean, it was a bit like me, really, but on the bald side?
Derby played on their Saturday, played on their Tuesday night. Maybe the grounds people forgot. I don't know. There's a lot of factors, but 3 games at home in 1 week is a lot for grounds people. Maybe the pitch isn't used to doing that. There is that. On the fans, I mean, location-wise, Derby is kind of the halfway point between London and Manchester. Like, it makes sense ultimately. And Chelsea and Man City fans, don't come for me. Arsenal weren't there. If Arsenal were there, I think you'd see a far bigger attendance. They're just not teams that are as well supported as Arsenal at the end of the day. You saw at Molineux, how many Arsenal fans turned up at Molineux? A lot. I just think they're not two as well supported teams as Arsenal. If it was Arsenal Chelsea, I think you see at least 25k personally. But there we go. But yeah, I mean, an odd kickoff times, like 12:15 on a Saturday afternoon. I think that's a little silly. Man City men were playing at 3 o'clock as well. But yeah, I think if Arsenal were there, I think you see a far bigger attendance.
Shots well and truly fired by Sean there. Very intriguing to see if anybody else comes in and counters that. But I mean, Frey, you can kind of see where Sean's going with that one in terms of the attendance. City playing at their academy stadium, which is a roughly sort of 10, 11 sort of thousand capacity. Chelsea at Kingsmeadow, roughly a similar sort of capacity. So they're both used to playing at smaller stadiums, but also very capable. We've seen Chelsea in the FA Cup final, for example, against Man United. That one had significantly more people at the game than this final. Do you go along with what Sean mentioned there? And why do you think it ended up being such a poor pitch? There's got to be some accountability for what was given, or are they just being, a bit prima donna, and actually they just need to get a grip because the pitch is the same for both sides?
No, the pitch was awful. They had every right to complain about it. It was just when they went to the corners and it was just mud, and you were just like, how can you, expect to play a decent game of football? Because I know Bean has more experience with this, but when you're playing on a crap surface, that then impacts the game and it changes the way you set up and how how you ultimately play. But yeah, I think location-wise, it was great. We want more games more in the Midlands, not just at Wembley all the time. So it's great that it does move around. But I think realistically, they should have maybe looked at the fixtures. I was reading, the match report and some other bits and pieces, and they said, nothing was flagged up by any of the officials. The FA were aware of it, but no one really did anything either. So there were lots of opportunities for someone to step in and say, this isn't good enough for a Women's League final. Playing devil's advocate, on the other hand, it's the largest stadium that's ever held the final. So, we're progressing that way, which is great. But unfortunately, you need to replicate the pitch. But yeah, the pitch was poor. Stadium was fine. Location was fine. But yeah, I think someone needed to step in before that to say, actually, it's not good enough to play on. So yeah, you'd hope that they would have at least narrowed it down to a couple of decent stadiums that can hold a good capacity, because there were a lot of neutral fans there as well, not just in the club ends. So yeah, it was just disappointing really, because you're watching it and imagine if that was the first time you tuned into a women's football match and you're like, oh, they're playing, oh, that doesn't look very nice. And it was just a bit off-putting really. So you can imagine what it was like for the players. So yeah, more needs to be done, getting there, but can improve.
Yeah, and absolutely, and I totally agree with this. The pitch was probably fine when the location was selected, but obviously, I think that's what I mean by there's got to be some accountability. That they've been picked as the ground that's going to host that final, they've got to have a pitch that's acceptable to be used. And, you know, I mean, somebody, where was it? He's put it here to make me giggle. Yeah, Alan, same guy. Watched a video of the 1966 World Cup final. The pitch was worse than Derby on Saturday. That's true, but Miracle Grow wasn't invented then. So, you know, it's kind of, and other grass growing chemicals are available just in case. Unless, of course, you want to sponsor us, Miracle Grow, in which case, crack on and I'll turn up with a wig. I'm sure it'll be brilliant marketing campaign. We'll talk it out. Get in touch, DM. So 15,000 Pride Park, there we are. We've gone through that. It was an interesting game. We saw photos of a few people that seem to have lost the plot entirely, protesting a player that doesn't even play for them, which I don't think I really want to give airtime to. Suffice to say, those people need to give their head a wobble, I think, because that was a bit pathetic. But if we focus more on the game itself was an interesting one. I think the first sort of 15, 20 minutes were quite exciting. There was a fair amount happening at both ends of the pitch. When we get to the first goal, Mary Ramirez is just she's a tank. She's the Rachel Williams of the Chelsea side, we would say, because she just doesn't stop. And when you look at the goal, I mean, it's a rubbish goal. It is. You know, there's no. You're not sitting there going, "Oh, that's going to make the highlight reel." But what was brilliant was the ball initially that was played through to her, the absolute desire that she had to get that ball. She should have done better with the shot initially, but she's still there, keeps going and bundles it over. And I mean, just the start that Chelsea wanted, just the start that City didn't. But as JJ says there, a goal's a goal. What did you make of that first goal?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, it's not the prettiest goal. I think she definitely had better opportunities. I remember there was another really good goal-scoring opportunity she had that was definitely better. But that's the mark of a proper high-quality striker. They can finish even when it's not the perfect goal, and she's still in there, in and around, following up and putting it in the back of the net. And you're right, a goal's a goal. So yeah, I think she looked really on form on Saturday even. Sorry.
100%. And Sean, she was just, I mean, people having a go at me already. She's quicker than, more skillful than Williams. Maybe so. I was thinking more about the strength and tank-like qualities. I mean, you wouldn't stick a tank into Formula One, would you? So I'm not suggesting for 1 second that they're going to be racing around Monaco without any dramas on that one. But in terms of strength and ability on the ball to just sort of bully defenders is where I'm going with that one. But Sean, not the greatest, not the prettiest goal, but by God, it was enough, and it really did set Chelsea up.
Yeah, it did. And I think what disappointed me the most, and I think she's not been playing well for a really good while now, like Alexandri. There's just something not right with her. Whether her mind's in Barcelona already, thinking about that move, because she is out of contract and it does look like she will join Barcelona. But I think ever since Alex Greenwood's gotten injured, she looks really lost in that defence. And she really got bullied by Ramirez. It really didn't take much. I thought you could have bundled her over, absolutely no problem at all. But yeah, I don't think she's not in a good moment at the minute. But Ramirez has such a unique skill set. I mean, I don't think, as Shane said, maybe Barbara Banda is similar in that way, but just it's that good mix. There's strength, there's speed, there's skill. She is so unique in that striker role, and when you're like that, you can create chances for yourselves, and that's exactly what she did here.
No, absolutely. She really, really did. And Shane also saying Alexandri has looked a mess without Greenwood, no doubts there. CFC Riley saying she's not clinical enough, does scare and posterize defenders, and that's always funny. And that's absolutely it. She does bullies. Now people are getting what I'm saying, so that's all good. Maybe I should have just said that. So she's a bully, Freya, is basically what we need to say there. But she does that job incredibly well. And on this one, the defence and indeed the goalkeeper just gave up their lunch money.
Yeah, no. And I'm just watching it back, and Alexandri was very lucky it didn't go down as an own goal because of all the rebounds and all the deflections that it took. But Ramirez being, the powerful striker that she is, she kept running, she kept going, even though the goal was right there. She didn't go, oh, wait, never mind. And that's the reason she then got another flick on to make sure it got in the back of that net. So yeah, Alexandri just has been so many times throughout the season where people have just been able to get straight past her, and there's just, you're right, she's looked lost and there's just nothing there. So yeah, it just, when that goal went in at 8 minutes, you thought, right, okay, game on, what are Chelsea going to bring out? So the rest of the game until that equaliser, you thought, I was expecting just a bit more to come from it. But yeah, definitely it should have set them up for a much bigger scoreline.
No, 100%. And B, Ramirez had another opportunity shortly-ish afterwards. It was probably a better chance in terms of how she took it, but didn't finish it off either. Did you agree with some of these comments that are coming out? She is very good and she does scare the defenders, but she needs to be a little bit more clinical.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think she did look really, really good up top, but yeah, you're probably right. She didn't convert enough of her chances. And like you said, she had another really, really good opportunity, probably better than her goal. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to play against her if I was a defender in the WSL. I wouldn't want to come up against that.
No, you wouldn't. I can imagine you having to play in that one. Yeah, I definitely don't want that. No, definitely not. I'm going to throw a point out there, and I don't think anyone can really argue it. The equaliser was the goal of the game, without question. And it wasn't my notes here, I've written equaliser, banger. And it really was. Ayoba Fagino, my goodness, just a superb finish. And genuinely at that point, Sean, surely we're all sitting there thinking, all right, it's game on now. We really could see quite a good end to the game, slightly ruined by what eventually transpires. But it gave a little bit of a much needed injection, I think, into the game at that point, because it was sort of starting to linger on the edge of boredom potentially, because there wasn't a huge amount going on, but it absolutely shot the game back to life.
I mean, we talked about the City defence for that first goal, but their attack this game, I thought it was really good. It felt like Nick Cushing, in the couple of days he was there, said, right, handbrake off, let's just go for it. And the best way I could describe it, you know that meme of the picture of the horse where the front half is drawn immaculately by an artist, but then the back end is drawn like a child. You've got little stick figures. That's what this Man City team is like. The attack is amazing, and then the defence looks half-assed. But the link-up play, I think Fagino has been a real signing of the season contender. I think the way she powered that in. Now, could there be questions of Hannah Hampton? Because whenever a goal goes in at the near post, us mere mortals who don't play in goal think, she should be saving that. But I just think the power that she puts on it, absolute cannons it into that top corner. But yeah, I think City really deserved that goal as well. I think they've been knocking on the door throughout. Some really good link-up play at the attack, and yeah, definitely goal of the game without a shadow of a doubt.
Screen had a little one of its moments as I was just flicking back over to it. It went absolutely crazy, but we are back. Worry ye not. So all is well. Freya, for you, I mean, as equalisers go, it was a good one, and surely that should have been the catalyst for City to get into the game more, but actually it seemed to spur Chelsea on more than them.
Oh, 100%. And you just think, if, say you've got goals like that in them, it's just being able to create those moments and take advantage of it. I mean, I was looking at the stats, and if, again, not that stats mean anything compared to the final score, but City had 17 shots compared to Chelsea's 12, 6 on target compared to Chelsea's 5. They had more possession, and you just more passes, better accuracy, and you just think, if you just looked at that, City should have won it. So the fact that, yes, we'll come to the winner in a minute, but you look at how that's how the game went, It shouldn't, should it have been that way? Should it have gone to penalties? Should it have, how realistically should it have gone? But yeah, it spurred Chelsea on, but they still weren't playing fantastic football, which was, to some people, the frustrating part, that ultimately, did they deserve to win it? But they did, and they keep winning, even if they're not playing the prettiest football. So again, that's a testament to them and the squad they've got.
Yeah, no, I mean, I tend to agree. B, for you, obviously you were there. I'd say there's no doubt it was the goal of the game. But for you, were you a little bit disappointed that wasn't the sort of literally the light blue touch paper on this occasion?
Yeah, I mean, that would have made it a super exciting game to watch, but I felt like Chelsea were quite dominant in that game. I feel like defensively they looked really solid. I mean, obviously it was a good goal from City, but I like Millie Bright at the back mopping everything up, to be honest. And yeah, Freya's right, the stats maybe look more in City's favour, but I felt like it was quite a dominant performance from Chelsea. Maybe that the stats and the scoreline don't really represent.
Yeah, I mean, we're down to that old eye test that people like to talk about. But certainly, I put it down as Chelsea being deserved winners on that one without any shadow of a doubt. But it was an absolutely brilliant goal to score. And it certainly, like I say, did leave the game in the balance for a bit until the ball gets crossed in from the right-hand side. And I wasn't quite sure what happened. I was certain, obviously we knew it had gone in, but it was only when you finally saw the replay that you realised that poor old Yui Hasegawa had turned it into her own net. If that was down the other end, everyone would be going mental because it would have been a superb goal. Sadly, it wasn't at the other end. And I suppose really, Sean, what I'm kind of getting at is, listen, if you're a Chelsea fan, you look at that and you go, don't care, it can go in off of somebody's knee as far as we're concerned. We've won it. That's all we want. But it's not the greatest way to win a game. People talk about penalties being the worst way to win things. I actually disagree. I think, penalties can at least have a little bit of entertainment to it. I think the worst way to lose a final is one of your players who's actually a really good player to score an own goal, because it's negative, isn't it? So I don't know. So it's not a diss. It's not having a go at Chelsea in that one and trying to play down what's happened. But I mean, it's horrible, isn't it? I think everyone likes Yui Hasegawa, don't they?
Yeah, I think JJ said in the chat there, normally when it's an own goal, you sort of, it's a little comical. You think, that's quite a silly own goal. But seeing Yui Hasegawa putting it, it's just like, oh, no, not her, because she's so good. She's been so consistent for City, probably their best with for so many seasons now. And it was just deflating just seeing her out of everyone score it. But yeah, I think we've all kind of hinted at that Chelsea were going. And when's the last time Chelsea actually played well? Because I can't think of a time where Chelsea right dominated from start to finish, deserved winners. They haven't played brilliantly since the turn of the year, but this is what they do. This is what champions do. Champions find a way. It doesn't really matter how it goes in. There's just a mentality to Chelsea that they're just going to keep going. They're just going to find a way. It doesn't matter how. And I think that says a lot about Sonia Bampol-Storr coming in, and they just keep going. They just find a way to win. Like the last minute goal against Everton, against Leicester, this game here, they just find a way. And I think that's a testament to what Sonia Bampol-Storr is doing. Yes, they're not playing well, but as Lucky says in the comment there, it's mentality monsters. And it's just they keep going. And I think that's what we saw from Chelsea in that goal.
Yeah, and I mean, absolutely fair points there, to be sure. Kuchia Criminal saying, really respect you, a definite Hall of Famer, but you shouldn't have asked the question really, because CFC Riley there with a shot right between the ribs for me there with 6-0 against United. And yeah, I mean, to be fair, you can't really argue with that. But Freya, that does kind of tie into a few sort of comments that have been made, which is that Sonia plays a very different game to the way that Emma Hayes used to play it. It's not going to be the same. It's not necessarily going to be all out attack and try and score as many goals as you can in that respect and sort of humble them. And maybe that's what is sort of being said there by CFC Riley in that one, that actually it's not a case of going out there and really imposing themselves on the opposition. It's more about just going in there and just doing what it takes, what's necessary for that game. And in that case, if that's what they need to do, it's exactly what they've done.
Yeah, no, and we always say about them. That's why what Sean said. That's why they're champions. They do get the wins. They do get the points, and ultimately they've got their first trophy of 4, which is very exciting if they can then sweep the board this season. And it's almost as if under Emma Hayes there was obviously a lot of quality, and there was a lot of. It felt like you can pick out those iconic moments of certain goals, certain results and things like that. But it seems like Sonia is very more. She's not about like the showcase. She's not about showing off. She's not about the prettier style of football. It is very much right. We need these points. We need to get those goals in. Just get it done, and that's pretty much the be all and end all. So yeah, it's just that's it. It's a different style. Some people are saying, does it suit Chelsea? Is that what you expect from a Chelsea side, just to get it done, rather than maybe that Barcelona-esque flair, maybe that people, it's more of a joy to watch, and that's not an insult because they still win, don't they? They still get it done. So yeah, it's just different, and that's okay because they're still winning.
It is okay, absolutely. I don't think we can disagree with that one. B, for you, same sort of question, really. But, I mean, very interesting for Chelsea. Chelsea have been in the last 6 finals of the League Cup, and they were on a 3-match run without winning, having lost to City once and, of course, Arsenal twice. So that was after extra time. Was you thinking that this one was potentially going to go to extra time as well? I mean, Robbie was on last week, was saying when the first goal went in, he wasn't going to celebrate just yet because they very often end up sort of ruining it. And, of course, once the equaliser went in, he may well have been thinking that was what was going to happen. But, I mean, that own goal, which, I mean, just sort of summed up City season, really, didn't it? Putting themselves into a position where it looks like they're going to do something. And then just sort of making a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talking around on social media about the curse that Chelsea have with the League Cup final, losing it the last few years. But no, I think, like I said before, Chelsea looked really solid on the day. Obviously, when the equaliser went in, I was thinking maybe this is going extra time and penalties. But no, they got it back, and of course it was an own goal, but I think you have to credit Lucy Bronze's brilliance in the lead up to the goal. I thought she played really well, and the Man City player turning it in, I think if she hadn't got a touch on it, I think there was a Chelsea player behind her who would have put it in the back of the net anyway. So unlucky, I guess, that it went down as an own goal, but I still think that was the right decision from the defender.
No, absolutely. And of course, that led to the final whistle. There wasn't really too much after that. I think that sort of knocked the wind out of the sails as far as City were concerned, really. And that pretty much was the end of it. But fair play to Chelsea. They did incredibly well to get the win and to maintain that unbeaten record that they have. But it did kind of make me wonder, and I just had a little look to see what the sort of the spread is of cup winners. And it's very interesting because only 3 teams have won the League Cup, obviously, and that is Arsenal, Man City and Chelsea. We do have 4 other teams that have made it into the final, being Birmingham, Lincoln, Notts County and Bristol City. And that should have been a quiz question, really, if anybody could think of who the other teams might have been. But just quickly, really, and I suppose this is to anyone who really wants to answer it, have we reached a point where things like these cup competitions are going to need a change, or are we just going to have to accept that we're in the situation we're in? Because the Conti Cup / Subway Cup / Sandwich Cup / Underground Cup, whatever we're calling it nowadays, is a nice thing to have, but the system for it is a bit tricky. It is, of course, really just Championship and WSL clubs that are playing in it. And as you look at it, even the FA Cup at the moment, it is pretty much the same teams that we are seeing time and time again appearing in the finals. Do we feel like there is anything we could do to change, or are we just going to have to accept that even if we do change the way these cups are played, that actually we just have a group of teams that are just so far ahead of the others that they're consistently going to make the finals and share them out between them?
I feel like there's 3 options you've got for the League Cup, because something needs to change. Let's be realistic. It's not a great competition, and I think this weekend I feel like it's the first time where I feel like it's lost its importance, because I don't think Chelsea really celebrated the win as much as I've seen an Arsenal celebrate a win. So either I think you put a rule in saying you have to use a certain amount of homegrown players in a starting 11 in a League Cup. That helps boost the academies. It gives academy products a chance, and ultimately it could help the national system filtering through the age group. So you could put homegrown rule in. You could, second option, to tell the teams that are playing in Europe, no matter if it's qualifies group stage, you're not in it. Just say if you're playing in Europe, you're not in it. That gets rid of that, but also reduces the amount of game time for important players, reduces the injury possibility, because everyone says about the calendar needs to be reduced. That's an instant one. Or you reduce the calendar dramatically by just getting rid of it, because England is the only top tier nation that has 2 cup competitions going on at the same time. Get rid of one, frees up all that game time. So yeah, I feel like something dramatic needs to happen, but I'm not the one paid to make those decisions. So
I'm sorry, Emma agreeing. Think changing the name lost its history and meaning. So maybe it needs to be a cup for smaller clubs. CFC Riley's won it and now just wants to throw it in the bin. Very, very WCW, WWF there with the Women's Championship. Just win it, throw it straight in the dustbin. That's amazing. Not really fussed about it. But, what about the ladies on the panel? What do you think? Is there a place for it? Does it need some sort of change?
Yeah, it needs a complete overhaul, because it's just going to be, like you said, it's just the same people getting to the final every time. So either it's, get rid completely, which again would solve the fixture congestion, like Sean said. But yeah, or just make it so the way they do it, that there's always going to be an underdog in the competition. So you maybe have all the WSL teams knocking each other out till there's one left. You've maybe got championship clubs going for it till there's one left. I don't know. There's got to be a certain way to do it, rather than just have, Sunderland did so well getting Sunderland. That was the FA Cup, but you know what I mean. Some clubs getting as far as they can, but ultimately they never really get to those later stages, do they? So yeah, something's got to happen, but hopefully it's the higher ups who are listening, hopefully to the show, to realise they need to put something in place.
I mean, B, out of all of us, you're the ones that play. But for me, this is the big one. Just sack these ridiculous groups off, because to me that kind of cheapens it. Like, the beauty of the FA Cup is you can be picked against any side. Granted, it's regionalised up to a certain point, but it's still any side that's available. Here we're talking about 24 teams in total. And when you start looking at it that way, when obviously it's 23 this season, but when you start looking at those, the fact you're going to play them every single time, and it's sort of semi-regionalised as well with where they're putting it, it's you're playing the same teams time and time again. So it doesn't really add any variety to it. Whereas if there was just knockout football, you could be in a position where you're going to get a side, the championship sides would be looking forward to a game potentially against the WSL side, rather than it just being, well, they're definitely going to come down and maybe a couple of thousand people turned up. Where do you stand on it? What changes need to happen for the League Cup really to, dare I say, get a bit more credibility?
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I didn't realise that it wasn't knockout football. I didn't realise that it was a group stage, but you're right, knockout football would be better. I feel like with like knockout football, like the FA Cup, there's something magical about it because anything can happen in 90 minutes. Like when it is really like down to that, I feel like you do get upsets, and that makes it more exciting for the neutral at least. But yeah, I guess I didn't understand the competition as much as I thought.
No, I mean, honestly, most people don't pay attention to the group stages because it is just an absolute waste. And of course, when you do pay attention to the group stages, eventually you get knocked out because Aston Villa can't bother to fill in their team sheets correctly. So it's just, well, it's true though, isn't it? It's true. Have I said something that's wrong?
You did it once. Pack it in.
You did it once. That was one time too many. And it's just not acceptable. Speaking of Manchester United, we're going to start our whistle-top story of the world with the WSL, and lucky saying Chelsea can afford to rest players in the WSL game now that Manchester United have lost. Obviously, if you are interested in watching it's a complete meltdown really based around what happened in the United game, you can always go to All For United WFC for all of that. But Friday night was a really important night in the WSL because obviously the week prior, Sean, we had mentioned potentially Chelsea leaving the door slightly unlocked with a possibility for a team to go walking through it. Manchester United basically went, hold my beer, and then went on to go and lock the door themselves, which is very honest of us. So it looks as though Chelsea are going to be marching on for their 6th league title. But it was important because Arsenal have put themselves into 2nd position with a superior goal difference, and it obviously means that Manchester City are only 4 points away from Manchester United, which is really quite significant when you consider the last 3 games that Manchester United have got to play. I don't think anybody really anticipated United turning out in the way that they did, but how significant do you think those results were on Friday evening?
Yeah, I mean, United, I don't think United had a chance at winning the title full stop, to be honest. But I think that result says it, and you went through it brilliantly on All For United WFC. But the one thing I will say, Olivia Smith, my goodness, she is going to get a move this summer, and Liverpool are going to get a lot of money for her this summer. She's turned them around, especially the second half of the season. Just absolutely brilliant player to watch, and I don't think she'll be in the WSL long, to be honest. So if you can see her in person, go watch her while you can, because I do think she is that talented. Yeah, I thought Everton might be a bit of a banana skin for Arsenal, because I think they've been going well of late. But great first goal. Did anyone else see it? Nope, neither did I. From Arsenal and Russo. But I mean, it showed great character. To actually, the fact that Everton equalised, but Arsenal kept going and did find a way. I don't think we maybe have seen that side of Arsenal where they have gone behind and keep going. Maybe the West Ham game was the first side of that, but now we've got more evidence again that they can do it, and I think that's important. But I still think Chelsea will have too much, but I think Arsenal certainly looking like the likely challengers.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we didn't see that Russo goal. What made me really giggle about that was that people obviously saying, oh, that's it. That's been lost to the ether now. It will never be seen. And then the WSL come out with their Twitter feed going, oh, who said it was lost? Winky face. And you're like, well, get it out there. Do you know what I mean? Don't hang about wasting time. People want to see the goal. It didn't really turn out to be that good, to be honest with you. It probably could have stayed in the dustbin where it was, but it wasn't that great. It was all right, just a tap in, so it wasn't the end of the world. But that was really weird whilst I was watching you, because it all went black, but it still had the clock, and I was watching the clock for a minute, and the clock's moving, so I'm like, what's happened here? I don't know what's going on. And then of course they'd scored. I was like, well, That's very strange. So yeah, YouTube was not playing the game really, was it? But yeah, Freya, for you, big results there, and it's not looking promising for Manchester United if they cannot get decent results, especially against sides that are not in the top 3 or 4 at the moment.
Yeah, I think that was a big thing. Like, we know what Liverpool can do, and especially the last couple of weeks, everything that's been going on. Everyone talks about, like, can you manage a bounce, that kind of thing. So they've always been dangerous, but we knew, you know, maybe they could show up, and they certainly did at the weekend. Everton again put up a good performance, but Arsenal unfortunately just had that bit of extra quality, didn't they, to get the goals in. But I mean, looking at the table being level on points now, United and Arsenal, you just think this could literally go anywhere, couldn't it? And that brings some excitement back, because when it was just the same old people getting the same positions, but yeah, the fact that there's now some jeopardy there, and you know there is going to be that battle, I'm all for it. So you know, if United, yeah, I won't finish that sentence. But yeah, if United, I think, you know, reading lots of things, and Barry, you'll be the best person to say this, but it feels like United have been kind of, Corsten sounds horrible, but like just getting there, getting the job done, not really playing any like over the top spectacular football. So maybe, you know, for United, this was maybe a bit more of a wake up call. So hopefully this weekend they might come out fighting again and fighting for that spot. But yeah, it's certainly getting more interesting at the top.
Yeah, no, for sure. Lindsay's been on at me all night, so I'll answer your questions. Yeah, Kim Little's one of my favourite Arsenal midfielders, if that's all right. Don't know quite what game's being played there, but that to me would be a good Arsenal midfielder. B's the best person to ask, because she spends a lot of time around there. I should imagine you were silently or perhaps loudly cackling to yourself on Friday evening.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch the games. I was out with my own football, but yeah, good result for Arsenal, less so for United. So good night to be an Arsenal fan, I guess.
Yes, very good time to be an Arsenal fan. Maybe not the greatest time to be an Aston Villa fan, Freya, because we do just need to run over Sunday's scores.
I don't think we do.
Sorry?
I don't think we do. I think we're good.
I mean, listen, I've had to spend the last goodness knows how long reliving a Friday evening where I just wish I'd gone to bed early. I think you're going to have to spend a little bit of time looking at your Sunday afternoon. So, sorry, Crystal Palace, bottom of the table, but for how much longer is my question, Freya, because that's quite a 3-1 wins for Arsenal, Liverpool and Crystal Palace. I would imagine you've got long odds on that.
I mean, yeah. The issues, I mean, longer than this podcast are the issues, so I won't go into that. But we all said when Crystal Palace came up, they've got the spirit, the tenacity, the fight, the everything that we hope they can stay up. That was when Leicester were at threat of going down. We were like, yeah, Crystal Palace can stay up, that's fine. Now it's at our expense, and it's like, oh, didn't really mean it. But yeah, no, they've found their form. They've got a new manager in. They seem like they're doing all the right things behind the scenes. And you know what? They deserve to win it. No one can argue that. Absolutely nothing. Exactly what Lucky's just said. Villa had 17 corners in that game. Could they do anything with it? Could they? Bugger. So yeah, it's a case at the minute of Palace have now got that confidence, and looking at the matches that both teams have got coming up, there's no easy wins anyway, but it could go either way on a couple of them. So yeah, Villa have got a fight on their hands. And from Arroyo's post-match, you know, she's like, oh yeah, you know, we've just started talking about relegation. It's like, we've been talking about relegation since like December, November. Like, if the club haven't been talking about it until this point, then maybe that's one of the issues, that they thought, we're safe, we've got that barrier. But now Palace are only 1 point off, and we've seen how much in the Championship one game can change everything. So yeah, Villa can't rest. They certainly can't lose any more games. They need to nick points. They need to get themselves together, because we know what the team can do. we've seen it. It's not as if like they're just a naff team and they can't do anything. We know they can. But unfortunately, we've had that many managers. We've had players come in to fit those different managers who aren't there anymore. So it's a case of building a team of, well, bringing a team of individuals together. And we need time for that. And we don't have time. So yeah. So we're cautiously optimistic that maybe we can pull something off. But ultimately, it does look like Palace might be able to pip it the way they're playing at the minute. And that's a horrible reality to be in, to be honest.
Yes, it's not much fun. And again, Shane is right, of course. Palace are within 3 points of Leicester. They're not safe at all. Villa on 10 points, Leicester on 12, with Palace on 9. West Ham, really the only claret and blue side at the moment that look like they might just about escape the slippery slope. But I like this comment, actually. Just here, quite fair. Palace needs to stay out for football. We need to show everyone it can be done and give everyone hope, which, would be a very interesting thing, because we keep talking about it being a bit of a yo-yo situation. Could be quite a good thing to have them stay up, but for which ones to go down, Leicester or Villa, I don't know. That administrative error, Freya.
Oi.
Maybe a bit harsh.
Kickers
Anyway.
when I'm down, Barry. Kickers when I'm down.
Got to be nice or she won't come back. So we get rid of Leicester for that reason. Sean, just thrown over Brighton for you. I mean, a win over Spurs. It's one of those interesting ones, Sean, because actually, if we were to start talking about this last season, perhaps we might look at that as being a good result for Brighton, perhaps the underdogs. But it doesn't surprise me now to see Brighton coming out with these sort of results against mid-table sides, the lower league sides, and indeed, of course, doing quite well even against the generic top four. I know there's been a bit of a bet sort of going on over on the WFC side of things with whether or not Brighton are going to finish top half. I'm proud of the fact that I said I reckon you would right at the very start. And it really does look that way. 5 points between now you and Spurs in 7th. I mean, you must be just singing every time you walk around the house at the moment.
Just first of all, no, we don't all want Palace to stay up. Just going to get that out there. You say it doesn't surprise you that Brighton beat Tottenham. We haven't won since November in the league. It's been a long time since I've felt a win. I've seen a win. It's quite nice, this winning malarkey. But yeah, I think that was really important to solidify ourselves in the top 6. My bet with Connor now looks very good. I think we don't have to play Liverpool again, so we'll have our own battles. But yeah, Fran Kirby scoring. That's her first goal against Tottenham ever. How? She must have scored against Tottenham before for Chelsea, but no, she hasn't. And great to see her back amongst the goals. All love Fran Kirby, and we all love when she's scoring. But Tottenham, yeah, questions. I think Beth England's now out for a couple of weeks. I saw a report now from yesterday. I think their general manager left today as well. So what that means for Robert Villaham, I don't quite know. So yeah, Tottenham seems a bit of a mess, but finally good to see Brighton back to winning ways.
To be clear, I mean, when you actually look at the amount of games that have been won by all of the teams that are below Manchester City at the minute, it's 6 games for you in Liverpool, 5 for Tottenham, 4 for Everton and West Ham, 3 for Leicester, 2 for Villa and Palace. So when I say I'm not surprised, I would put Brighton amongst the strongest of that group that we've just mentioned. I think Brighton and Liverpool are clearly battling for 5th place, basically. And I think everybody else is just fighting to be as far away as is humanly possible from Crystal Palace, really, at that point on, because, stranger things have happened. If Spurs don't put themselves together, it's 8 points, but if Palace are going to start getting some good results, it can be quite interesting. B, for you, I suppose really we'll just ask the question, what are you seeing in terms of those games? You think it's going to be Palace, Villa? What's your general sort of gist on those 2 games?
I mean, I'm going to be honest, I've not had the opportunity to follow much of it this weekend, so I'm not entirely sure. I think it sounds like it's been really exciting, and I think for women's football generally, that's a good thing, that it's not one team comes up and goes immediately back down without a fight. So I think that's a positive. But yeah, I'm going to be honest, I don't know if I can decisively say if either of them are going to go down.
Who would you like to see stay up? If you could choose between Crystal Palace and upsetting Sean, or Villa and upsetting, well, me, who would you like to see stay up?
I mean, I think the comment that you brought up earlier of someone saying that Crystal Palace staying up is a good sign for women's football. I think that's a really good point. But Aston Villa are quite established. I don't know. I think it would be nice for women's football for a team to come up and stay up like that. I think that would be positive. But I don't know. Don't want to upset anyone too much.
All agreed on Leicester, then that's absolutely fine. So bye Leicester. There doesn't seem to be any Leicester fans in at the moment, so we could probably get away with that. And my friend Chris, Leicester was the first women's football game that I went to go and watch, to be fair, in the WSL against Manchester United. So they do. I have a little bit of a soft spot for them. But yeah, I mean, I like Freya as well, so I suppose I want Aston Villa to stay up. It's one of those, isn't it? Right, we're going to get round our little whistle stop tour, as we said, and we're going to start by traveling to the big boot of Italy. And the reason why we're going to Italy, if I'm being brutally honest, is because Freya is a little bit of an expert in the world of Italian female football. And I'm going to kick this conversation off with sort of twofold. First of all, obviously, a lot going on in the relegation side of things, because they've done what happens in Scotland. They have the split, and the split has occurred. But I suppose really my question here at this point, looking at the league, is this now the most pointless league in the history of football, with the exception of who's getting relegated? And I say this purely because Juventus obviously top of the league, 49 points, 10 points clear of the team in second, Inter. So one game more played, so that could go down to 7. But short of it, a Juventus massive, miraculous slip, it looks as if Juventus will cruise themselves to a title. I mean, I might be wrong. You might tell me that when these splits happen, we see a lot more competitive games going on, and that there's a chance of these sort of games happening. It's a bit like the Man United final 3 games. So talk to me first of all about that bit. Second of all, you don't have to talk too much about Como and Lazio, but what I do want to know here is Milan at the moment are on 28 points in 5th place in the top of this in the top half. Como are obviously on 28 points in the bottom half, but it's too many leagues now, isn't it? So Como could effectively end up on, I don't know, 35 points, with Milan ending up on 34, but technically they'd still finish 6th. Is that true?
Yeah. So what happens in Italy then? So after 18 matches, they split into the Scudetto and the Salvezza. So that's the championship round and the relegation round, essentially. So, hey, I'm explaining it right now. So because they've got 10 teams, they split into 2 groups of 5. So whatever happens in that 5, so in your championship round, obviously top 3 get Champions League. So that's where the battle still is there. Obviously, first place gets straight into the later stages, the league stages, and the second 2 go into the first round, as we've seen City and Arsenal do in previous seasons. In the relegation round, you're absolutely right. So this season, so they're actually making changes to the format for next season. So what usually happens is bottom team gets relegated straight away, and the second off bottom then goes into a playoff with the second top team in Serie B. However, because they're changing the system this season, it's only 1 relegation spot. So at the moment, it looks like Sampdoria, really sorry for them, it looks like it's going to be them. But hey, there's still some match days left, so who knows? But yeah, but effectively at the top of that relegation group, you don't get promoted to the championship group, nothing like that. You literally just come top of your group. Now, at the moment in that relegation group, because of what happened at the weekend, so Como actually won 2-0 away to Lazio, which no one saw coming, especially me. So they've now gone 2 points clear at the top. So Como were first in the relegation round, then Lazio on 26 points, and Sassuolo are just a bit behind on 22, but it's literally them three battling out for pride of top spot, essentially. However, you're talking about Juve. They lost at the weekend to Fiorentina 2-0. Haha. So it's not Juve. Yes, they're 10 points ahead, but slip-ups can happen, and we've seen that. The best one, however, was Inter versus Milan, because, and I'll just get my notes up to get this right, Milan came from behind 3 times, but only scored once, because Inter scored 2 own goals. So it ended 3-3, which was just absolute madness if you do want to watch the highlights of that one. So Inter are now only 1 point ahead of Roma, who weren't playing this week because they have a rest week now because of the 5-5. So it is still interesting. So there's the fight for the top 3 spots, and then there's fight for pride of place at the top of the second group. But yeah, there's not much in it between Sampdoria and Napoli. So Sampdoria bottom on 9 points, Napoli on 11, and they drew 0-0 at the weekend, so they've still got a point each. So it's definitely between those two for relegation. But from next season, 3 teams from Serie B are being promoted to expand the league to 12 teams. So there's some excitement going on there in Italy. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled.
Very good. How many teams can qualify for the Champions League?
3.
So at the moment, that's Juventus, Inter, and Roma.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. Fair enough. It's just whether or not Fiorentina or Milan can pull that back. Even that is quite a jump. Sean, Italian football, does it interest you in the slightest? Where do you sort of stand on everything that's happening over in jolly Italy?
Yeah, a friend of this very parish, Mia Claydon, is also very big into Italian football, and she has taught me a fair bit about it. I'm quite surprised that Milan are as far down as they are, because I thought they had a really good transfer window, but some really good players in. I remember Koivisto going there in the summer. I thought that was a really good signing for Milan, and they just haven't lived up to expectations. Quite surprised to see the fall off from Roma. I don't think they've necessarily lost anyone big. I mean, I know Saki Kumagai went in January, but I'm quite surprised to see how far they're off. And yeah, I didn't expect Juve to do as well as they are doing. So all credit to what's going on there, and especially with Caruso not there, which still find it really bizarre that she plays for Bayern Munich now. I know it's a loan, but still very weird. But no, there's a lot of talent in Italy. Having seen Wales play Italy recently, is a very good Italian team. And the league is doing a really good job at producing those talents.
For sure. B, do you get much chance to look at what's going on in Italy?
I mean, I don't really have much chance to look at what's going on in the WSL, so no,
I just
not really.
I've got a question for you that's entirely different. What do you think about this split? We've had this conversation before on this channel with the guys who are here, but I'd be very intrigued to hear what you think as to how this split goes, and whether or not you can see that being used anywhere else domestically, because Scotland does it, obviously Italy have done it, and it seems to have an interesting sort of way of it. And when you think about it, if you're getting a tight sort of season, the fact that the top 5 or 6 teams will have to play each other rather than being able to rely potentially on having sort of 3 games. So I was looking at Real Bedford's running that's coming up. I mean, I'm not being funny that they should win pretty much every single one of those games. So when you start looking at that, it's not much of a competition unless those sides can pull out a bit of a miraculous win. At least with this one, they're the top 5 teams. You'd expect them to be a similar sort of standard. They're not just going to be able to go off and beat the teams at the bottom. And equally for the people in relegation, they're knowing, well, we haven't got to beat the teams that are right at the top. It's just the mid-table teams we've got to beat. So in theory, providing you don't have such big issues with the points and the distance between the clubs, it should lead to a slightly more exciting season. For reference, see the Scottish Premier League, where at one point there was 4 teams on the same number of points at the top of the league. That would be super exciting.
Yeah, I think for sure. As a player, if you're in a team doing well, you want to play against other teams doing well, like a Real Bedford. If I was in that team, I don't think I'd enjoy playing a bottom of the league side and thrashing someone. I think you want to play competitive football. So I suspect that's probably what this type of league format does. So I think that's probably beneficial. And again, if you're a bottom of the league side, you want to be competing against similar levels. So it's probably good for a league where there's a big divide. But it's definitely different. I don't know how I'd feel if I was playing in it.
It's an interesting. It's what you're saying here about the WSL. It would be very interesting right now, wouldn't it? Because at this point, Brighton would be guaranteed top half finishing effectively. But imagine it. All of a sudden you've got Villa having to play Crystal Palace again, and Leicester having to play Crystal Palace, and all of a sudden, the likes of Chelsea and Arsenal all have to do what Man United are doing, which is potentially play each other again right towards the end. I do feel like when you've got such a small league, actually it does lend itself there. I don't often give the Scottish a lot of credit in terms of what they're doing when it comes to sport, but on this one, I think they might have a little bit of an idea and an advantage, I think, because it genuinely does seem to have quite a way about it. Right, okay. Next league, we're going to pop over to France. Sean, do you spend a lot of time looking at France? I would imagine you do. You're dressed in blue there, so it's a very traditional French colour.
I've actually got a French top on underneath. I've actually got a French top on underneath this. I'm not even joking. So, and I am part French, so I do look at France quite a lot. So I am here for it, Barry.
What are the chances? So I'll add some more to it. Obviously, Lyon at the moment, top of the league. Again, very similar. They don't split, or at least they don't seem to have split as yet. Do they split?
So they do split. So what you have in France is the whole league doesn't split, but at the end of the season, the top 4 play in a mini playoff semi-final, final. First place 4th, second place 3rd. Winner plays in the final wins the league.
There we go. So it's all to the top 4. At the moment, Lyon, top of the league, 49 points. Paris and Paris FC are the next 2 teams, 39 and 38, and they just played this weekend. It was a 0-0 draw, so it didn't quite have the same level of excitement as it potentially could have done. And then Dijon Mustard are stuck there on 30 points in 4th position with, I'm going to say this wrong, Fleury.
Yeah.
That's all right. Good. Okay, we'll go with that then. 3 points behind Dijon. So, looking interesting there. Guingamp not looking great for them. Might be saying goodbye to them with just their 3 points. But yeah, so Sean, tell us a little bit about the French league in there. What are you expecting to see? Do you think the top 4 will be what the top 4 is now?
The top 3 definitely. It'd be quite interesting to see if Paris FC finish second and jump PSG, because I really have not been impressed by PSG whatsoever this campaign. I know there's been a lot of change, but the manager wasn't great. So yes, Lyon can top the league and yet still lose, but I will eat my foot if Lyon do not win in these playoffs, because they've been brilliant. Fair play. When Joe Montemuro came in, I was skeptical, but nope, been going from strength to strength. It will not surprise me to see them win the French league and get to a Champions League final again, to be very honest. PSG disappointing. Mary Earps going there, not really done much. I think it's a PSG team with a lot of internal stuff going on. Paris FC have always been there or thereabouts, and they're closing the gap slowly on PSG in particular. Lyon are still way out in front. And then Dijon, could get fourth. I mean, Fleury finished fourth last season, but Dijon doing quite well. But big shock for me this weekend, Lyon winning 8-1, not a shock, against Ram. Bigger shock, Ellie Carpenter scored 2. Since when did Ellie Carpenter score 1? Ellie Carpenter scored 2. Shocking. But yeah, all lump money on Lyon winning the league, but gamble responsibly.
Absolutely, you're not kidding there. Some very interesting points being mentioned here. So yeah, I mean this does blow my mind. So yeah, so Lyon can top the league, lose the final, they won't be crowned champions, and that just feels like a thing. I mean, imagine that Dijon do go up into the top 4, and then they win the whole thing. When you've been so, I mean, they've not lost a game, Lyon. They're the only undefeated side in the league. But imagine if the only one you lose is the last game of the season. That's such a moral dilemma for me on that one. But then this, just to double check. So, is it 3 that get Champions League football as well in France?
Yeah. So basically, the winners of the 2 semi-finals go through to the final. They play that one, and then the 3rd, 4th place playoff, so to speak. Whoever wins that gets that 3rd Champions League spot.
Interesting. B, I'm not sure I would like this. I quite liked the Italian version. This one just feels like, oh, I don't know. But then having said that, like Stevens are going to finish in the top 4 and then we could potentially get the league. So I don't know. There's a part of me that is like, actually, maybe this could work. I don't know. I have to go to bed and think about that one. Freya, anything you like to throw in on the French side?
I don't keep as up to date as I probably should, but I was having a little look, and just on the Ellie Carpenter, 4 years since her last goal, 4 years, and then she goes and gets 2, which is absolutely mad. But yeah, I mean, the scoreline like that just showing why they are 10 points in front and how much quality they've got. But yeah, it was disappointing. Like we said, the PSG Paris game at the weekend, just drawing that one, not really convincing. And you think the point difference between those two, they'd be pushing for more. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But yeah, I mean, Lyon don't look like they're slowing down anytime soon.
They really don't. I won't ask you about the French league as such, then, B. Instead, what we're going to ask you is, where's your favourite place in France and why?
I don't know. I mean, I've not been to much of France. I've been to Paris. That's about it. So that would probably have to be my answer.
Is it a true story that the Eiffel Tower is basically just an English telegraph pole?
I feel like that's a bit rubbishing one of their main landmarks. So I'm going to have to go with no. I think the Eiffel Tower is quite cool when I've seen it.
It's one of my favourite things to do, actually, is I really wish we could take the kids on a trip to France and have one of them fall asleep on the bus before we get to France, so I could just look at one of the telephone poles and go, look, it's the Eiffel Tower, and see if they would fall for it, because I feel like they would. But there we go. Yeah, okay. Well, that's very interesting. Germany. Always an interesting place to go to. Freya, we'll let you start on this one. What do you know about Germany?
What do I know about Germany? Is not the question. So I can tell you, Bayern dominating the league, 14 wins out of 17, and I've got a 6-point lead ahead of Eintracht Frankfurt. And at the weekend, won 3-1 over Wolfsburg as well. So again, another league where we've got another out-and-out winner pretty much, unless something dramatically happens. And unfortunately, Potsdam do look like they're going down. I know they've had a bit of a rough couple of seasons. But yeah, unless their luck changes, because they've only got a single point and they've lost 16 out of their 17 games. So
Will
not
Germany
the
split?
season. What, sorry?
Will Germany split?
Oh, I don't know, actually. No, I don't think so.
9, he
No.
says.
There is no split in Germany. It's your nice league. It is what it is. But in terms of that title race, huge result for Bayern over Wolfsburg. But Shane asking if Frankfurt played tonight. This is the huge one. Frankfurt have been superb all season. This has been the country with the best title fight in Europe's top 5 leagues, but Frankfurt playing Freiburg. They were 2-1 up heading into added time. Freiburg equalised in the 91st minute, and then Freiburg found a winner in the 92nd minute. So heartbreak for Frankfurt, and that seems to have really handed Bayern the title, so to speak. But this has been a really good Bundesliga season, but it does look like Bayern are going to keep hold of their title.
Absolutely, and absolutely the political questions. And there's not been a split in Germany since East and West. So there we go. It's great news. Oh, you get it all on this channel. You really do. Sure, well done there with the Freiburg and Frankfurt bits there. Beatrice, favourite place in Germany?
I mean, again, I've not really been to Germany. I went to see the Christmas markets this December. So I can't even remember where I went. I don't know. My knowledge lies mainly in football, but just not the European leagues.
Okay, so the place where the Christmas market is definitely your favourite one. Fair play. Not that you could ever go there again because you wouldn't be sure where it was you went. Love that. That is a quality answer. I'm here for it. Absolutely here for it. We're going to also talk briefly. We're going to make our way gingerly and tenderly over the ocean towards America and sort of see what is happening over there, because it is, of course, their opening weekend for the NWSL. Quite a bit happening. All of the teams have completed match day 1. So a few results that came in there. Orlando Pride with a huge 6-0 win. Don't know who managed to see that, but Barbara Bander there with a couple of goals, and that was by far the biggest result and win of the first weekend. You got the KC Current, Kansas City winning 3-1 against the Portland Thorns, which was in itself again quite a big one. And of course, Washington Spirit beating Houston Dash 2-1. A couple of draws, and by a couple I mean 4, because Utah Royals and Bay FC drew 1-1. Racing Louisville, which is one of my favourite names, I think, against North Carolina, which I can only ever say in a Shaggy voice. If you know, you know, one of his old songs. So we go 1-1. Beatrice like who? Seattle Reign and Gotham FC also drew 1-1. And of course, my team, ever since Katie Zellen went over there, Angel City, drawing 1-1 against San Diego Wave. So some interesting bits and pieces happening there. Lots going on in America. This is where obviously there is a closed league, and there's a lot going on about the WSL potentially going into a closed league. So I'm just going to kind of ask really, and we'll start with you, Sean, on this one. Your thoughts on football over in America with the way that it is. I mean, there's not a huge amount to chat about. You can perhaps tell us who you might think will be the favourites to win it this season. But it's a very interesting place. There's no promotion really, no relegation. There's lots of salary caps and all those sorts of things. Just your general thoughts on what's going on, because it's massive still over there. You know, women's football was probably started. We all remember Bend It Like Beckham and the absolute height of joy that was. So, yeah, tell us what you think. American football, as it should be, because it's played with a foot. Never going to understand that. American football. Oh, we'll throw it. I mean, that's handball, surely. I'm digressing. Talk to me about football in America, the proper one.
Firstly, on the closed league thing, it's an American thing. It works in America. Let's keep it over in America. Full stop. I think a lot of us will agree on that. I love the NWSL. To be honest, as we all know, I'm Welsh. I like wherever Welsh people are. 2 people are playing in Seattle, therefore I love the NWSL. A really good draw for Seattle against Gotham. Wasn't quite expecting it, but what I like about the NWSL is you tend to get sometimes a team who finishes near the bottom can, after a good off season, go win the league. It is that kind of league. But I did find it quite interesting that Orlando just 6-0 win over Chicago straight away. They're showing no signs of slowing down. And good to see Rafaele coming back for Orlando as well. I know she's been out with an injury for a really long time, but such a classy defender and good to see her back. And then, yeah, I think it's been mentioned in the comments a few times. Barry, I'm not sure if you saw this for Angel City, the double pivot midfield of Katie Zellum and Alana Kennedy. You heard me correct. Katie Zellum and Alana Kennedy. That could not believe it. Yeah, Jonas Eidevall getting that draw for San Diego against Angel City. There's a lot of nice little storylines going across, but it's the talent that the NWSL produces. There's so many good players over there. Like, if you get a chance, download NWSL Plus on your phone. All you need to do, create an account, and you watch the games for free. That's all you got to do. I know the time is a little ski whiff and all over the place, but if you get a chance, please do try and watch.
The NWSL, you just make an account. You don't have to pay anything for that.
Don't have to pay, just have to make an account. NWSL Plus, all your games are there for you. Don't have to pay a thing. And the best thing in life is free. So there you go. But please give it a watch. It's a really good opening weekend.
Because the MLS is all on Apple Plus, isn't it? So you kind of have to have something on there with that one, and you can of course watch Ted Lasso as well. But there we go, that is quite something. NWSL is free to watch, so there you go. If you didn't know that, you now have the opportunity to do so. So isn't that great news? Freya, talk to us a little bit about what you were saying. People here talking about Katie Zellum in a double pivot. I was told that she wasn't a 6, so that's clearly why they're getting all upset. But you tell me, Freya, what's your thoughts on the NWSL this season?
Yeah, I'm excited to get into it properly. I followed it, again, not as closely last season, but now, of course, Kenza Darley and Adriana Leon have gone over to San Diego Wave. Maybe I've got another team to support now. But yeah, it was great. Kenza started, which is fantastic, as a 10, where she should be, which is exactly what Villa is missing, creative outlets. So it was great. And then Dree came on, I think around the 65th minute, and she was getting stuck in straight away. So it's great to see players that you know have got so much potential in a team where they're allowed to do that. And they're getting the minutes and they're getting that rhythm and showing what they can do. So yes, I'll be up at all of these ungodly hours watching San Diego Wave now for those two. But yeah, fantastic to see.
There we go. I'm off to go make an account on the NWSL Plus. I'm going to write that down. Why not? I've got just about every other plus there is, including Disney. Beatrice, 2 questions for you. Question 1, what's your favourite place in America?
I've never been to America, but I'd love to go to Hawaii. I think that looks really cool.
Aloha. And a slightly more serious question on that one. They have a salary cap over in America. Could you see a salary cap working over here?
I mean, for a salary cap to be needed, you'd need to be like paying the players a lot. And I feel like first let's get to that stage before we think about bringing in a salary cap. So I don't know.
Okay, interesting. So I still think it could work maybe in the lower leagues. You know, when you think about it, you've got some that are popping in some money and some that are not. So it could be an interesting thing in terms of trying to maintain a level playing field. But
yeah, I mean, I hear that, but surely the disparity is so much. Like I know, like a Real Bedford compared to a London Seawood, like one's paying and one isn't. So like, I don't know, would a salary cap spread that around, or would it just cut off the top?
Yes,
like it wouldn't.
That was 0. I suppose it depends. Like you say, the money's got to be in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, okay, very interesting. Last league, because I completely forgot about it. Sorry, Spain, but I did forget about you. But we are here. All is well. We're going to have a quick chat about Spain. You'll not be surprised to know that Barcelona are top of it with 63 points. Real Madrid second with 56. Everybody else well below. Atletico Madrid 39. There's no split there. Let's just check in with our resident split people. There can't be one, surely, over in. No, just say we've got 16 teams. That'd be absolutely mad if they were choosing to split. So no split in Spain. Their only split is with Portugal. So there we go. Spanish league causes Emma stress. So let's not spend too long over here. Valencia bottom with 11 points. Real Betis with 19. I'm just going to throw it out there. Anyone got anything interesting to say about the Spanish one? I mean, for me, Granada have got the second highest top goal scorer, which is something different. They're a sixth place side. Granada, I thought, was what ITV used to be called back in the day.
I want to just shout out to Levante because they are currently 14th and they won over Real Sociedad, who are 5th. It's a massive, massive win for them. So it shows there is still some unpredictability lower down the league, not necessarily at the top. But just a quick one on Barcelona. They won 2-0 away to Tenerife. They had 23 shots and only 6 were on target. So if anything sums up Barcelona and not having their best season, that's it.
They're not, but they're still 7 points clear.
But they're still doing it. Again, that champion mentality, isn't it?
Just to add to that, by the way, the race for that final Champions League spot, so 3 teams qualify automatically in Spain. That race, unbelievable, because you had Atletico Madrid drew against Espanyol, you had Bilbao losing to Sevilla, and you had Sociedad losing to Levante. There's only 5 points separating them. I think it is a shock if Atletico Madrid don't get it, but Bilbao are only a point behind, and it'd be great to see Bilbao. The men's team have thriving. Their transfer policy, of course, only signing Basque players. How they keep doing so well is beyond me. In the relegation battle, I am sad that Real Betis have lost to bottom of the table Valencia because I'm on Wales watch. Rhiannon Roberts plays for Betis. She's having a lovely time over there. I don't want to see her relegated. So let's all pray for Real Betis.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of need to. It's just the bottom 1 or the bottom 2 that go down?
Bottom two.
Yeah, that's what I thought. So, yeah, not looking great for them. Interestingly, if you're saying it's a race for third, you would think Athletic Club Bilbao would win that one, being an Athletic Club, because it's a race. That really did go very wrong. So we're going to have to ask the question B, what's your favourite place in Spain?
I don't know. I don't like these questions. Barcelona.
To be fair, it is a nice place. So there we go. That's a good one. B, I feel like you've not necessarily had the best of questions on our round the world trip. Is there anything you'd like to throw out that's a little bit more serious about, just what we've been talking about, really, in terms of the European football and the fact that there are so many places covering it? I put out on Saturday on All for Wofo that you've got DAZN showing a lot of the football, TNT showing a lot of the football. We've just found out you can sign up for free to the NWSL Plus. So when we talk about women's football being out there are a lot of platforms that are trying to show it. And to be fair, TNT also show, I think, the A-League, the Australian women's football. It's always on a ridiculous time in the morning. Like, imagine get up at 5:30 to watch what's going on there, but they do it. So lots of women's football being shown all across the world at the moment, which is brilliant in terms of people having the opportunity to watch some really good players play football.
Yeah, I think that's amazing, especially as I feel like it's not spoken about enough, but as well as England having women's football banned for so long, so many of the European countries were exactly the same. So I think that it's brilliant that the women's game's starting to get the recognition all across the world, all across Europe. So that's amazing for the game.
No, absolutely. So there we go. I think that's a really good place to... Where's your favourite place in England, B?
These questions are awful. My favourite place in England, I don't know, where I live. I'm happy.
Leave it at that then. That's fine. To be honest, I was being sarcastic and funny, but then you completely did my interview technique, and now I feel a little bit weak. So all is well. I'm going to go and have to cry. Listen, it's been a really good... We tried to do it in 60 minutes. It took us 83, but we did go all the way around the world, and we got stuck at customs trying to get out of Donald Trump's America. So, it's a tricky thing to do. We've had political gags. We've sent B over the edge. We've realised she's never going to be the new Judith Chalmers. It's not going to be a holiday channel for B. That's for sure. We found out today that Sean is partially French and is wearing a French shirt, which nobody was expecting, and completely threw me out from there. We understand that Freya is effectively 3/4 Italian. She's a bit worried that they're going to end up in the Championship. Sean's delighted that they're in the top half of the WSL. Beatrice is just delighted that it's North London forever and they're doing better than Spurs. And frankly, I'm just happy that that's another Monday night done. So thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. It's been an absolute delight running through everything. I'm sure we'll be back next week. B, give people a shout. Where can people find you if they want to hear you talking all about women's football?
You can find me on most social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, wherever, at Beatrice Rogers _.
Excellent. And she will not be talking about places that she enjoys. Sean, where can people find all of your excellent work?
Just going to plug my Twitter today because I did an exclusive interview with Carrie Jones this weekend ahead of the new Swedish season that starts this weekend. A really good chat about all things Sweden, all things Wales. A really great person, a lovely interview. So I'm just going to plug that, which is on my Twitter at Sean Misra.
Excellent. Well, I'm sure we didn't talk about the absolute disgrace of a performance from Wales in the Six Nations, which I managed to successfully not mention at all weekend to you, but feel like I need to now. So
you can't kill what's already dead. I don't care. We're a football nation now. It's fine.
Okay, fair enough. Football nation now. Why not? And Freya, same for you. Where can people find your stuff?
Yeah, I'm across all socials at T4AT Writes, and I write a lot of match reports and articles and things for my company, The Whole Lunch 15 Yards.
There we go. And of course, if you're following Freya on that one, you'll get lots of information all about the relegation battle, because let's be honest, that's all anybody really cares about in Italy at this moment in time. Can't wait for Freya's Thursday show. What's this all about?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I have so many podcasts. So I talk women's football on a Wednesday as well on the Absolute Women's Football Show. And on Thursday, I host a Villa Women podcast as well, which Connor's always number one watcher on that one. Yeah, we said we'd rebel this week and not do it if we lost. However, I think we've got a duty to the people to come back. So, yeah, Thursday, if anyone's interested, come and join us.
Call of Duty, some might say, but there we go. Brilliant stuff. Well done, everybody. It's been superb. Well done for keeping with us all the way till the end. We will be back next Monday. Don't ask me what we're talking about yet, because I haven't got a clue, but it'll be something to do with football and the women that are playing it, and we'll be looking forward to it. See you all next week. Ta-da.